Fine.
Hi, and welcome to the LBMC Technology Solutions webinar. We are going to get started here in about 8 minutes. So looking forward to talking with you. Good afternoon and welcome to LBMC Technology Solutions webinar today. We'll get started here in about 4 minutes. We're looking forward to talking with you soon. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. We'll get started here in just about 2 minutes. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar today. We'll get started here in just about a minute. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We are excited to have you here. Our webinar today is 3 new year-end resolutions for the financial leader. I'll be your host today. My name is Nicole Brinson. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager with LBMC Technology Solutions. Our host today is Glenn Sharp, Cloud ERP Expert and Sage and Tech Manager with LBMC Technology Solutions. We're really excited to have you join us today and hope you'll gain some new ideas and perspectives that you can take into this year to work better. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items. Everyone's been joined on mute. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to drop them into the chat. If you have any technical questions, you can also put those in the chat and one of our team members will get back to you to resolve your issues. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can put them in the Q&A section down at the bottom. We'll be recording this webinar and send out the recording in about 48 hours. But if you need anything else, please feel free to reach out to communications@lbmctech.com. Now let's get started. So recently, Forbes released at the beginning of the year a list of 10 New Year's resolutions for every business leader. And as your technology partner, we wanted to help you be successful this year. And so we're taking that publication and addressing 3 of the resolutions and how technology can help you achieve them. The 3 resolutions that we're going to cover today are increasing efficiency. How can you leverage tools and systems that you have in place to reduce redundant work, to increase efficiencies across the organization, and to save time and money in the process? 2, we're going to go over setting clear growth goals. You can't measure what you can't see. Finally, being able to set clear growth goals and identifying areas of strength and opportunities from improvement to really affecting the bottom line. And third, we want to keep employees happy. No, you don't need to offer unlimited PTO, but improving processes and adding more accessibility for team members can help increase team member satisfaction. So how can we accomplish some of these things with technology? As financial leaders, you are tasked with the challenge of doing more with less. With tight budgets, increasing demands on your time, it can be difficult to keep up with all the demands of your role. So to help support you, we hope to show you some solutions that could help save you time, save money, and help you work smarter. For many finance leaders, this solution could be in a cloud-based ERP. Like many technologies available today, with the right ERP system in place, you can streamline your financial processes, automate repetitive tasks, and gain real-time visibility to your financial data. By doing so, you can focus on some of those high-value tasks and really drive your business forward. So join us now as we learn how to take your financial leadership to the next level in this new year. Now I want to introduce our presenter for today. Glenn Sharp is the customer manager for Sage Intacct practice with LBMC Technology Solutions. With over 20 years in the ERP space, Glenn is one of the sought out experts for Sage Intacct and often consults with Sage Intacct directly. Glenn has deep experience with design and implementation of complex systems and brings his background of systems management and cloud ERP today. Glenn regularly presents at Sage Intacct Annual Partner Summit, Sage Transform, and earlier this year, LBMC Technology Solutions was honored with the Partner of the Year Award by Sage. So without further ado, please help me welcome our presenter and host, Glenn Sharp.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you all for joining us today. As Nicole mentioned, I've been working in the ERP space for over 20 years. I've been with LBMC for the last 17 years. But prior to that, I was a controller and director of finance for various companies in my region. So I have sat where many of you have sat. And so today, as we talk about some of these things, I've been in your seat and kind of know some of the struggles and things that you're going through as we discuss some of these things today. So I can definitely relate. So as we mentioned, we're going to cover 3 things today: increase efficiency, so how to leverage tools and systems to reduce redundant work and save time and money in the process. Set clear goals. You can't measure what you can't see. And then we're going to discuss some tools available to identify areas of strength and opportunities for improvement. And then lastly, keep employees happy, improving processes and adding more accessibility for team members, which can help increase team member satisfaction. So as we dive into this first one here, we're going to talk about increasing efficiency. So efficiency is a common topic in most workplaces, and the way we address efficiency has changed over time. Many of our organizations face the issue where you have squeezed as much efficiency out of your current systems as you have been able to, and now you are wondering kind of what's next. And this is where the term, when we talk about digital transformation, comes in. So if we were to define digital transformation, a way to define it is how businesses use digital technologies to create new or modify existing business processes, practices, models, culture, and customer experiences to meet changing business and market dynamics. Simply stated, it's about identifying how you must adapt your business to drive customer loyalty and maintain a competitive edge in the digital age. So we're going to start our discussion kind of about digital transformation as it relates to technology with a little historical context. At certain points in history, advancements in technology have fundamentally disrupted the economic landscape. In the face of these disruptions, adapting is the key to survival and growth. And those who adapt successfully often emerge stronger than before, and those who don't risk becoming obsolete. For example, the Industrial Revolution that started in about 1760 resulted from technological advancements that supported iron production and enabled commercial use of steam power. Factory systems emerged to replace manual production, output per worker increased dramatically, and industry thrived where it had been stagnant for years. And of course, this environment really favored innovators. Starting over a century later, in approximately 1870, a second industrial revolution introduced systems like steel, electrical power, and telegraph lines. The Western Union Telegraph Company capitalized on innovative telegraph technology, leveraging it to facilitate both local and international commerce. And soon, the increased movement of things, people, and ideals around the globe led to more innovation, and the world was introduced to another innovative device, which was the telephone. This time, Western Union failed to recognize the potential early. After declaring the telephone had no commercial possibilities, they spent years unsuccessfully challenging patents and eventually left the telephone business in 1879. As a side note, they were still an innovator because, as we know, Western Union found a different way to adapt by turning money transfer into a primary business. More recently, the world saw the rise of a third revolution, one you're probably most familiar with, which is often called the digital revolution, because believe it or not, the seeds of this revolution started cropping up in the 1950s, roughly 40 years after the second revolution ended. However, the peak of the third revolution wasn't until several decades later. This revolution was driven by the rise of digital computers and the internet. As these technologies became widespread and enabled information to be generated and shared faster and more easily, opening up new possibilities of economic, social, and technological innovation. But just as with previous revolutions, there have been winners and losers. Take the film and camera business, Eastern Kodak. They used to be regarded as a technological pioneer and was a dominant force in its industry. As late as 1976, it captured 90% of film sales and 85% of camera sales in the US. But Kodak failed to adapt to digital photography, which was replacing film, and smartphones that doubles as cameras. It saw the digital onslaught coming, but was reluctant and slow to adapt. Today, Kodak is a shell of its former self, having recently emerged from bankruptcy protection. We'll look at some more companies like this as we talk about kind of what the cost of not innovating is here shortly. So why is this context relevant? Basically for two reasons. One, there is less and less time between these different revolutions. Technological changes are happening more rapidly, and the window of time that companies have to adapt is shrinking. And number two, we're facing another technological disruption today. So the principle of adapt or get left behind should be top of mind. So let's talk about what this next disruption might look like. Technology is playing an increasing role in everything we and our customers do, shaping growth, disrupting industry landscapes, and providing the catalyst for transformation. In terms of impact, digital transformation can be considered the next industrial revolution, providing the catalyst for new business models, products, services, and experiences that impact not only businesses, but society overall. Compared to the past, what's unique about the disruption happening today is the rapid pace of change. During past revolutions, firms had many years, even decades, to adapt. Today, that is no longer the case. One indicator of just how fast the landscape is changing is the longevity of companies on the S&P 500, which is, of course, as we know, an index of leading US companies. Roughly 100 years ago, the average lifespan of a company listed on the S&P 500 was 67 years. Today, that average lifespan of a company on the S&P 500 has decreased to just 15 years. This demonstrates that it is becoming harder for companies to stay in the lead or even in business for very long. Experts believe that we'll see this trend continue. Richard Forster is a Yale University professor and former McKinsey partner, and he predicts that in the next decade, only 25% of the companies currently listed on the S&P 500 will remain there. That means that the other 75% will be replaced by new companies. These new companies will be those that take advantage of innovative technological capabilities to rapidly gain ground in their chosen markets. Similarly, the existing companies that remain on the index means that they have rapidly innovated and evolved their businesses. The bottom line is today's organizations must adapt quickly to change, using new technologies that fuel competitive advantage or risk getting left behind. That's why it's imperative to make the most of big data, the cloud, and intelligent capabilities, all of which help companies accelerate their speed of business through smarter decision-making and faster execution. So what are some of these areas of change? So we can see here big data, which is high volume, high velocity, and or high variety information, assets that demand cost-effective, innovative forms of information, processing that enable enhanced insight, decision-making, and process automation. So it's dealing with just a lot of data that we have coming at us from a lot of different areas. Sometimes this is called the Internet of Things. Everything is a smart device now, like your refrigerators, your thermostats, your mechanical devices of all kinds that have the ability to transfer data over a network without requiring human-to-human or human-to-computer interaction. Of course, the cloud, in its simplest term, cloud computing means storing and accessing data and programs over the internet instead of on your computer's hard drive or direct local service. The cloud is just a metaphor for the internet. Then an area that you will see a big benefit when moving to a cloud solution is called multi-tenant. Multi-tenancy is an architecture in which a single instance of a software application serves multiple customers. Each customer is called a tenant. This is important because the software vendor is able to update the system more regularly, and everyone using the system is always on the latest version. This means that you do not have to go through the tedious process of upgrading your systems ever so often. And then lastly is intelligence. It does not do much good to have a lot of data, access to all of our systems and information in the cloud if we can't turn all this information into meaningful and actionable intelligence and business results. An example of this would be something that is called predictive intelligence. Without me defining this any further, what do you think would be some examples of predictive intelligence that many of us probably use every week? Actually, I just used one earlier today, which is Amazon. As we know, whenever we make purchases on Amazon, the next time we go into Amazon, it's going to recommend certain things based off of our purchase history for us. That's using predictive intelligence. So that is a word that's used in marketing to describe a method of delivering experiences unique to each individual. It enables systems to build a profile of the customer by capturing cross-channel data such as web clicks, purchases, dropped carts, and emails opens. The data is then stored within a common contact model to build a 360-degree view of the customer. As a result, you gain a complete historical view of how they've engaged with your brand. As we mentioned earlier, I work with the Sage Intacct software. In this cloud-based application, clients are able to use what's called outlier detection for general ledger journal entries. This is where the system can use machine learning to see how your journal entries are normally entered. Then when an entry seems out of character based on the history, the system will notify you of that and bring that out. The system also uses intelligence to help with what's called time entry automation. So using a tool called Sage Intelligent Time, the system can learn how an employee inputs time entries and then start making suggestions by filling in, say, maybe a project or task that they're putting their time towards, or even an email or calendar event if it contains certain information. So it's machine learning over time. Together, these technologies have the power to disrupt every industry, which is why this area is being heralded as the fourth industrial revolution. The breadth and depth of these changes is resulting in the transformation of entire systems of production, management, and governance. This means it's going to change the way we work, which will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning and losing is happening now faster than ever. So we have to ask ourselves, what is our response? Are we driving change or being driven by it? So next, what we're going to look at on this as we talk about our efficiency is what is about the cost of not keeping up with our technological changes. So how we are affected by the change in technology. Individual companies can't really invest in the same type of computing resources and security that cloud software vendors can provide simply due to the scale in which the software vendor is able to work versus what an individual company can afford. On the last slide, I mentioned multi-tenant systems in the cloud. This saves the company from going through expensive upgrades of software and disruption of the business every couple of years. Companies prefer to focus on core business competencies, process improvement and growth versus investing in hardware, data centers, or even networks. And company IT resources that could be focused on revenue generating activities instead are focused on supporting internal on-premise solutions and all the hardware infrastructure that's required to support those solutions. So what happens if we do not change our systems or way of thinking to adapt to new ideas? If we don't adapt to new technology and adapt our businesses, we could become like some of these brands that once owned their particular marketplace. Not too long ago, BlackBerry was the only option at a business level. It owned the business marketplace. Xerox, as well, was another one of those big business examples of failure where they were the first to invent the PC, and their product was way ahead of its time. Unfortunately, the management thought going digital would be too expensive, and they never bothered to exploit the opportunities they had. The CEO, David Kearns, was convinced that the future of Xerox was in copy machines. The digital communication products invented weren't seen as something that could replace black marks on a white piece of paper. So Xerox failed to understand that you can't keep perpetually making money on the same technology. Sometimes technology fails as well. Then, of course, Blockbuster. While Netflix was shipping out DVDs to their consumer homes, Blockbuster figured their physical stores were enough to please their customers. Because they had been the leader of the movie rental market for years, management didn't see why they should change their strategy. But back in 2000, the founder of Netflix, his name's Reed Hastings, proposed a partnership to the former CEO of Blockbuster, John Antico. Netflix wanted Blockbuster to advertise their brand in the stores while Netflix would run Blockbuster online. The idea got turned down by Antico because he thought it was ridiculous that Netflix's business model was more of a niche business. Little did he know that Hastings' idea would have saved Blockbuster, but in 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy, and Netflix is now way over a $28 billion company. So how do you tell if your company is in need of a digital makeover? Creating and sharing reports is tedious, time-consuming, and error-prone is one way to tell. It's hard to get the information you need when you need it. Maybe it takes too long to create or customize reports for things like billings, payments, budget roll-ups, or sales forecasts because people have to re-enter or reconcile information from different systems and spreadsheets, which also increases the risk of errors. Or maybe you lack the visibility you need to make the best decisions. When businesses depend on a mix of different data sources, spreadsheets, and reports, you can't see how the different aspects of your business work together. It's likely that different people will have very different views of what's happening in the business and find it difficult to reach consensus on key decisions. For instance, if you're a service company, you may have billing inefficiencies that you can't readily see that lead to missing hours and expenses. Or you can't see why things aren't working, such as why the tried and true promotions that used to work are no longer working. Existing solutions don't support expansion and growth is another area. Without the ability to readily reconfigure business software or tackle new initiatives, your business will be slow or miss out entirely on new opportunities. For example, if you have an opportunity to do business in another country, you'll need to be able to track exchange rates, convert currencies, and consolidate your financials. Or if you want to offer a new subscription service or create a new channel, you'll need to be able to support new financial, tax, and logistical requirements. And fourthly, maybe there's focus challenges. You would prefer to focus on core business competencies, processes, improvements, and growth versus investing in hardware, data centers, and or networks that you currently have to invest in. As far as agility, you need the ability for your company to be able to change and pivot more quickly in the areas of people, processes, and technology to maintain your competitive edge in the marketplace. And then for your employees, maybe your technology feels old. People have come to expect that they can do very sophisticated things very easily with consumer apps, and increasingly expect that business apps will deliver the same type of user experience, both on traditional desktops and on mobile devices. Can your business afford to frustrate employees and turn off prospective hires because you have dated applications and spreadsheets that don't work well together? If you identify with any of these situations, the risk of getting outmaneuvered by more agile competitors will only grow if you don't take action. So now we're going to ask a poll question that you can take part in. We encourage you to take part in. So what number of your current core and key operational and financial solutions are currently in the cloud? We'll take about 45 seconds or so to answer that, or have you answer that, and then Nicole will let us know whenever those have been received and kind of what the results are.
Probably just a few more seconds here. Glenn, looks like most, if not all, is coming in at 48% of the poll respondents have most, if not all, of their current core and key operational financial solutions in the cloud.
Okay, great.
About 21% say just a few. 21% have none in the cloud, but definitely have plans for it. And about 7% have no plans to go to the cloud at all in the near future.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Nicole, for those numbers. So maybe you are considering maybe some sort of transformation journey. Once we kind of look at some of this information, maybe now or in the future. And so if a transformation journey sounds like something your business needs, kind of where do you begin with that? So we say, first of all, to evaluate how the ground is shifting and prioritize your business goals. Take a fresh look at what's happening in the business environment, what's changing in your business with competitors and with customers. Maybe revenues and profits are stagnant, or you're finding it tough to recruit and retain employees. Perhaps a competitor has introduced a new business model or product that is negatively impacting your company. Or you want to enter a new market, but you have to put so many workarounds in place to facilitate the move that you're stalling. Zeroing in on specific issues and problem areas can help you set goals to sustain and grow in your market. Second, we recommend to collaborate and communicate. Get input early and often from relevant stakeholders so that you're not missing a key piece of the puzzle. Executive buy-in is critical, but it is also crucial to involve employees who will need to adapt to new business processes and practices and technology solutions. So always remember to get feedback. Number 3 is to assess your technology requirements. Will the technology solutions you use today help you achieve your business goals, or will they hold you back? So look for solutions that automate repetitive processes and readily provide you the information and analysis tools that you need to make better decisions. We recommend consult with a trusted technology advisor who can provide clarity about how different solutions will help you meet your business objectives, and supply realistic details about the resources, cost, and timeframes that deploying a new solution will require. Number 4, of course, for some of you already done this, but think of cloud solutions as your on-ramp to innovation. It's no wonder that small, mid-sized businesses' adoption of cloud-based software as a service solution has risen steadily over the years. Cloud providers offload to small, mid-sized businesses from having to own, deploy, and manage infrastructure and applications, enabling businesses to get up and running and productive with new solutions more quickly than comparable on-premise alternatives. As important, modern cloud solutions are built on open, flexible platforms and provide real-time consistent information, which is not available in on-premise solutions all the time. Cloud providers are also embedding new technologies such as artificial intelligence, which we talked about, machine learning, Internet of Things, and more into their solutions. This means that customers can access these new capabilities within the application they already use, instead of having to evaluate, purchase, and integrate them on their own. Number 5, talk to peers and companies that are similar to yours that are successfully executing on digital transformation. Connect with people through industry associations and communities, and ask technology vendors for customer references you can talk with. Find out how they set goals, selected solutions, what they did right, and any pitfalls that they've encountered. And then number 6, keep the big picture in mind. While it's important to set priorities, whether to improve employee experience, streamline financials and planning, or personalize the customer experience, you don't want to end up with a more modern but still disjointed set of siloed solutions. So select technology solutions from vendors who build their systems with open, flexible technologies so that you can add new capabilities as you need to in an incremental yet integrated manner. Aim to integrate workflows and create a more unified view of data from different areas of the company. This will not only help to streamline business processes, but to more easily see what's going on in the business and how what happens in one area can affect another. So now we're going to move on to kind of our second objective, and that's setting clear goals. Knowing your business numbers. So what does it mean to know your numbers? What are the key industry numbers, and what is important to know? Why is it important to know your numbers, and what numbers should you know for that? So it's kind of what we're going to look in this section. So some companies are not sure where to start to find areas to measure. Of course, you always should start with your financial information to evaluate your company's performance and KPIs. But you can find a wealth of knowledge and even examples on the internet for the types of measurements that companies similar to yours are using. In this example I have here are things to measure. I'm focusing a little bit on the healthcare industry, but the industry you are in may have similar data available. So in this example here, I'm saying look at what to measure: revenues, expenses, supplies, equipment, payroll, facility improvements, but also measure other things like patients, residents, occupancy, and treatment and services. Those are things that you can measure, and you can find a lot of comparable things online in the healthcare industry and things to look at. So remember, if you don't track it, you can't measure it. If you don't measure it, it's that much harder to control the financial health of your practice. So what type of tools can we use to look at some of these things? So some tools that we can use to measure our goals, of course, is your GL information, your actual data coming in to the system. Also, the use of what's called statistical entries. These are non-financial entries that may be things like your number of patients or your number of procedures or those types of things that you're going to be tracking within the system. A lot of our healthcare companies track patients per days types of evaluations, so that they need to produce those types of reports. So tracking those things with statistical entries is very important. Of course, using budgets, whether that budget system is built into your current system or using outside of the system, but comparing your actual to budget types of comparisons are great things to do. And of course, developing the right financial reports. So financial reports should be something that's helping make decisions, executives make decisions either about their departments or about their company, and being able to have those financial reports available kind of in time that make actionable things come from those financial reports is very important. And of course, having dashboards is where all this information can come together as you're viewing this information. So some of the benefits of using these tools, in most systems that you're using, they're going to be real time and accurate as entries are made into the system, they're posted, and so that everything's kind of real time. It also helps provide a bigger picture with all the details. On a lot of these types of reports and things, depending on the system, you're able to drill down into what's making up those numbers, so you can kind of see what's behind them. It's also role-based and secure. That's very important, that you have people seeing or department managers seeing only things that they need to see within the system, but not seeing other things that they should not see. So being able to kind of slice and dice your data, but also being able to secure that data, and so people are not able to see things that they should not have access to. As I already mentioned, being actionable upon the reports and things that they're able to see, having that information available on a dashboard or other type of system brings it kind of right in front of you so that you can see it and you can make changes even throughout the month, not just after month end. And then shareable, being able to either send those out via email or provide those users with capabilities to see those dashboards, or emailing that information out to people, are areas that you can use within most systems in order to share that information and get those results out so people can make decisions on those. The following, I have a few slides that I have added here just to show some dashboards, different types of dashboards that you can look at. This is looking at one that's kind of a service-based type of business. We're actually tracking kind of labor trends. We might track things like utilization and things like that. We're kind of tracking over time, kind of seeing the results of some of those things and kind of how your company is comparing or is stacking up against different areas. We're either looking at operating expenses by department or direct and indirect labor trends, but being able to kind of manage that type of information. This next one is just more of a view of kind of a financial view of information. Of course, I'm just showing a little bit of the report here, but it allows you to see kind of a trend type of analysis of your information. You can use the different tools within the system to see either the whole company, or if you need to have other companies or locations within that, to be able to break that information down, but be able to track some of that information. You can see up here across the top with units available and things like that, units sold, that some of that information may be statistical information as well as financial information, but you can use those to make calculations and things like that. And then on this type of report here, everything that's in blue in the financial P&L section there is areas which you can drill down on. So you can see the detail that's making up those numbers and being able to find, if something looks out of character, out of whack, you're able to see those very easily. This next one is an example of more of a healthcare type of report. We're actually looking at number of patients served, number of providers, doing calculations based off of revenue per provider, revenue per patient, as we're looking at that, and also breaking things down maybe by the type of services provided, or even the provider themselves who's providing, different services. You're able to track that type of information as you're looking at it over time. And the last one here is just some financial ratios that you're able to do. You've maybe learned a lot of these financial ratios. You're just going through your financial accounting class in college, but just actually using some of these in order to evaluate your business by checking on what your ratios are, kind of how you're comparing against those, and then what your industry averages is for those different areas. So being able to capture the information, whether it be financial information, statistical information, being able to view that information in financial reports or dashboards, and being able to share that information with others is all different areas that you can use in order to kind of track how you're doing with your company. So here we have a second poll question that we're going to use. So how do you currently manage tracking your company's performance? Here again, we'll take about 45 seconds, and then Nicole will provide us that kind of the results of that information.
All right, just about 15 more seconds. All right, so it looks like we've got almost split, but down the middle, 48% using Excel or some other spreadsheets, about 48% using additional software, and 4% or one person, no problems whatsoever. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
All right, sounds great. Thank you, Nicole, for that. Okay, so our last topic we'll be talking about today is keeping employees happy. There's a video that I encourage you to look for. It's out online from Steve Vamos, where he is talking about digital disruption. In this video, Steve's points was that digital disruption or digital transformation is not just a technology thing, it is a people thing. The more that that technology becomes a part of our business and our lives, the more ubiquitous, the more it is in the hands of people, the more that the human dimension matters, the more that people matter. So technology does not innovate yet, people do. Technology isn't disrupting any industry, people do. Technology enables and amplifies the potential of people. And the potential of people is greater than ever. Each one of us here today has the potential to transform our jobs, our companies, our communities for good through the use of technology. Our own individual potential is influenced by two factors: what we know and who we are connected with. Anyone here grew up in the 60s and 70s or 80s? What were our sources of knowledge back then? It was our parents, probably, the World Book Encyclopedia Britannica, people close to us at work, of course, or education. Whereas in the present time, that information comes from an endless source of knowledge that we have access to on our phones. We're also through that connected to so many people today. And it is what we know and who we are connected with that defines value for some people. So digital transformation is about change, but changing things for the better. However, there can be a massive mindset gap between the world that we operate in on a day-to-day basis and the potential of people and technology to do great things. So what may be holding us back from this? Most of the time, it is the idea of change that holds us back. Oftentimes, it is our past that keeps us from accepting change. Before we can begin to take advantage of what is possible, we must be able to address the way we have been taught to think and the way we need to start thinking. The change is hard because change is human, and we do not change without confronting our fears. So we have to look at this fear as a good thing, not a bad thing. But if we are unable to get out of our way or out of our comfort zone and begin re-envisioning the way things can be, we're going backwards, not forwards. Have you seen this change curve before? We have a similar change curve that our project managers use when we kick off implementation projects with our clients. Some of you may be in the middle of a change curve at the moment or has experienced the emotions outlined in this diagram. This can apply not just to technology, but in many areas of our lives. I'm personally going through a kitchen renovation at the moment, so I'm hoping that I'm starting to climb up the hope and enthusiasm part of this process myself here soon. For many years, the mindset that dominated the corporate world and influenced who was hired and promoted were the traits of those who were control-oriented, mistake-averse, or know-it-alls. These characteristics, while in some cases valuable nowadays, can hold us back from accepting change. The first one, control-oriented. When there is change, that means my job may change, and what I have done for a long time changes. So does this change possibly impact the value of what I provide the organization? Another type of person may be mistake adverse. If our current process has always worked, then why change it? Change brings uncertainty even if you are not certain that it will work. So how do we know it will work, and what if it doesn't work? It is the safe path, but not necessarily the best path. And then lastly is the know-it-all. This is someone who's not open to new information, different ways of doing things, requires continuous learning, requires desire and passion for continual improvement. A know-it-all may be stuck in the past and their institutional knowledge. So if we don't open ourselves up to change, we'll be left behind. There's no longer an option. Transformative change is coming to most of our industries. So what can we learn from accepting change and moving forward? Past success and knowledge can limit our ability to be open to and embrace change. Some people cannot see the possibilities of the future because they're always looking back and are satisfied with what has been accomplished in the past. Purpose is critically important. Why is what we are attempting to accomplish important? Why does it matter? We should never implement technology just for technology's sake. There is nothing that we have ever gotten good at that did not involve making mistakes. So digital transformation is not just a technology thing, it's first a people thing. We each must understand the mindset challenge we face individually and collectively. If we do that, we can realize the enormous potential in each and every one of us to bring about transformative improvements into all of our businesses and in the areas that we have influence. So I have one final poll question here. How would you rate your employees' current satisfaction with your systems and processes? Again, we'll take about 45 seconds for this. Nicole will share with us the results.
Take about 15 more seconds. All right. Well, the good news is it looks like the majority have room for improvement in their current systems. We've got about 35 or 37% feel like their employees are satisfied, 44% coming in at dissatisfied, and 19% coming at no one is asking and no one is complaining. Okay. I would say they probably are complaining even if no one's asking. That could just be my perspective, though.
That is probably likely. All right. Thank you, Nicole. Mm-hmm. So at this time, what I'd like to do is kind of open up, see if there's any questions that's come in. Nicole, you can let me know if there's any questions that's come in from anyone for anything that we've covered so far.
Yes, and reminder, if you've got any questions, you can drop those in the Q&A down at the bottom. We do have a couple of questions. Glenn, first question. We want to move to the cloud, but there's no chance we're moving anytime soon. I'm guessing that was that no chance submission earlier, not moving to the cloud. Too many variables with our current ERP and connected manufacturing process. Are there any small steps we can take to take advantage of some of these things that are in the cloud without having to get a completely new system?
Sure, yeah, there are. So many times if you're on a legacy on-premise system, but a new ERP system isn't right for you right now, you could look at what's called a cloud hosted option for this. So instead of having everything on your local servers, you can have those things hosted. For example, you may have manufacturing customers on Microsoft GP that are going to stay on that platform for one reason or another for several more years, but they need the flexibility and the features of some of the newer cloud-based systems. And so we've helped move many of their GP systems to the cloud, maybe hosted in Azure, on what's called our Vision Flex program. And now they have all of their existing systems, but also get the advantage of the added features of the cloud-based systems, like remote access, increased security controls, and data information backup. So it doesn't only have to be ERP. You can host many other of your other legacy systems as well in the cloud, either public or private, whichever works best for you.
Right. I have a question from a healthcare company. It says, we're a mid-sized healthcare provider with several locations and different needs. We're currently using several different instances of QuickBooks, so multiple versions of QuickBooks. How flexible is Sage Intacct or some of these other ERP systems for multiple locations with different requirements?
Okay, that's a great question. With many companies, especially in the healthcare, if they have multiple locations in different areas of that, what you need to do is kind of what's called a multi-entity. And that's if you need to do consolidation of those, see that information together. And so the structure that a lot of the modern ERP systems are built on, like Sage Intacct, allows you to have kind of a holistic view of your company, but also to consolidate things together. So in other words, each organization or company that you have, instance that you have, maybe have their own data in it, but you need to see everything kind of at a high level, or what's called, we call the top level view. And so you're able to do that. What that allows you to do is if you have like allocations that need to be spread, you're also able to do things like that across the board. You're able to control security of who sees what information as you do that. But especially for a financial perspective, you can look at things collectively. In other words, that top level view of looking at everything consolidated, or you can do things individually by each of those different locations that you may have there as well. So it's a very, it's kind of the platform is built exactly for that reason, for that purpose.
All right, great. We have another question. This is about moving to the cloud. What protections against losing access to our proprietary data if we change in the future?
Sure. So you always have access in most cloud applications. You always have your data is your data, and you always have access to your data. So if you ever decide to move off of that, you'll be able to take your data out of the system. They provide that type of access for you to get your data out of the system. So they don't, hold it captive or anything like that, but you're able to have access to your data within the system while you're using it, and then after, if you decide to move off of that to something else. But the data, that's stored there, as we mentioned, they're able to have a lot more security things in place, more than most companies can afford to have by themselves. And so your data is very secure while it's in that environment, but it is your data that you're dealing with.
All right, I have one more question. Again, if you have a question, just drop it down in the Q&A. This is from a nonprofit organization. It says, we're a nonprofit and these implementations are more than my organization can take on. What size team is needed for an implementation like this?
It kind of depends on the size of what your implementation will look like. And then what I mean by that is if you have multiple different companies or things that are coming together, maybe different entities that are coming together for that, then sometimes they have to be, it takes more involvement for those. But you will have, as part of the project on our side, you'll have a dedicated project manager, and you'll have consultants who are dedicated to your project as you're going through that. But as far as how that kind of rolls out, for that, we kind of work with the clients for that. We do have what's called an Advantage program, and what's more kind of a concierge types of service to help you kind of through that process. But also it provides other features like unlimited training, helping with reports and things like that, not just over the term of your implementation, but ongoing, that you have that type of kind of, I'll say, protection of your investment, that you're able to leverage us as being a part of that, and we're able to kind of help you through the process, not only of implementation, but using the system ongoing and getting the most out of the system as well.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Glenn. We have just a couple more minutes. If anybody else has a question. All right. Well, thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you, Glenn, for sharing all of your insight. We really hope that this webinar has provided valuable insights in just a few of the latest trends for finance leaders, and you're going to get to walk away with some actionable things that you can put into your business as soon as you get right back to work and start making a difference. We'll be sending out a survey following the event, and we really appreciate your feedback. Again, as your technology partner, we want to be providing value and quality education and in helping to give you all of the information about technology tips and trends that are coming. So please fill out our survey. All survey entrants are entered to receive a raffle for a $50 gift card, courtesy of our partners from Sage Intacct. And we won't be using it for any, additional information. We won't be selling to you. So please just fill out that survey so we know how we did. The QR code is for the survey is also located there on the screen if you want to go ahead and scan that and fill it out now. In addition to the survey, we'll be sending out a recording of today's webinar as well as the slides. And then you'll also be receiving a complimentary copy of our ERP Buyer's Guide. This is a guide just to help you navigate the different options that there are when it comes to selecting an ERP, both for on-prem or hosted or fully cloud native, and things that you could probably evaluate that can help you make that decision. We want to be your technology partner of choice, and we're here to help you as you kind of navigate some of these waters. Remember, technology is constantly evolving, and it's important to stay informed. And as your technology partner, we want to be there for you. So in addition to ERP guidance and some of the accounting software solutions, we offer a holistic look at your entire business. It's not just about your ERP. We know that technology involves all of your business. So understanding the importance of technology in today's world, we offer a variety of services, from virtual chief information officer to managed IT services to business phone systems to general consulting. We're here for you. So if there's anything that you come across that you hear about that you want to know more information about, please reach out to us. You can reach out to your strategic account manager or just contact us at info@lbmctech.com, and we'll be happy to hear from you. So thank you so much again for attending, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.